Aside from
Hi.
having to speak to this guy, how is your day going so far?
So far, so good. Thanks for asking. How's your day going?
Oh, nonstop, but good. Thank you very much. And, you know, you fascinate me on a few levels because when they said, do you want to speak to Carlos Miranda? And it said parentheses, bling ring and warrior. And I'm
Yeah.
going, but that's the guy from Grey's Anatomy and Station 19 and Empire and all that. You know, these great credits. So at this point in time, you're the kind of actor that probably 10 people would know from 10 different credits.
Yeah. When it happens sometimes, I get those little random recognitions, and you expect it's from something, and I get surprised when it's like, oh, you were on SVU or something
Yeah.
random, which is super. I appreciate it because it's like, oh, cool, they're paying attention.
There you go. So Righteous Thieves is the latest project. When did you actually film it? I couldn't tell just looking at it. Sometimes you can go pre-pandemic movie and other times.
Right. Actually, this was just like kind of at the end, just when we were getting back to business. So it was about, I would say, 21, maybe two, not last summer, but the summer before last, I believe. Yeah. So it was definitely post-pandemic, but shit was just like it was pretty messy still. Like work that we didn't know what was going on with work, with like how the protocols, it was changing at that very specific moment. So it was an interesting time for sure shooting.
Did you see the Netflix movie The Bubble? I know that's a random question.
No, I haven't. Should I?
It's definitely got some funny things, but your typical Judd Apatow movie where you go, you could take about 20 minutes off of it. But it's one of the first things I saw that was about a movie being made in the bubble. And it seems like no one knew what the protocol was, and it all kind of got improvised.
Yeah. I mean, even remember, I don't know if you watch sports at all, but even I remember basketball, like NBA, how they had everybody in the bubble and stuff. And what a time, right? It's so interesting that it's a trip to me to think like we went through that, like, years from now, like we're survivors.
Totally. But before I ask more about Righteous Thieves, I mean, the NBA thing that you just said, I remember the initial NBA thing was players playing on their driveway doing horse. Do you remember that part of the pandemic NBA thing?
No. Is that what that was going on? Oh my God, playing
literally
horse?
You were watching NBA All-Stars playing on their driveway doing horse against each other. So
wow. Well, it'll never be the same, even no matter what. Like things have completely changed today.
There you go. So where did you actually film Righteous Thieves?
Here in downtown LA, actually, was the primary location where we shot.
You never know because, there's that Las Vegas set in Albuquerque. So now you found out that the Las Vegas things are not filmed there. And then all these movies that are filmed in upstate New York, they say it's Utah. So I was just surprised to hear, oh yeah, that was downtown LA. Have you filmed a lot in downtown LA?
We were on location. It was pretty crazy. Definitely seen a lot of things that were not expected to be, or typical on what you would think on a movie set. It was, we were in there amongst, all the locals in downtown, you know what I mean? Some Skid Rows down the street.
Yeah.
So it was a lot going on. And we had our little hurdles, I remember one night, you got to get the sound right. And somebody came outside and was just, they were playing music from a loud speaker, and and it's like we can't be like, hey, turn it. We ask politely, but it's like, damn, man. So things like that happened pretty often.
Did that ruin any of your takes?
No. I mean, we worked around it. We worked around it. But my takes were all good.
And what was your entry into this project? Did you know a producer, or was it a traditional audition?
Actually, this it's pretty interesting how it came about. I know the producer.
Mm-hmm.
I met her some years ago, Jolene, when she worked at Sony.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had a general one time, and we kind of just kept in touch. We were acquainted, And one day, I remember being at a film festival, and I was just about to start working on Station 19. So I had just guest starred on it, but I was about to be on it regularly. So and I seen Jaina Lee Ortiz. I seen her at the film festival, and I seen Jolene there. So I said hi. I introduced myself to Jaina because I didn't really work with her yet. So I was like, hey, you know, what's up? Like, she knew me, but we didn't know each other. So we was just like, hey, I'm gonna be on your show. And then I seen Jolene kept the whole night was kind of talking to, like, I'm gonna get her to sign this deal. I'm kind of thinking like, whoa, this is what a trip. It's like Entourage, right? Like the producer trying to get the deal sold, and I'm just kind of in the mix of all this. And so that was how I learned of this project. I was like, oh, what is it? Oh, it's a heist film, and da-da-da. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool, you know. I don't want to, like, I'm not over here trying to take my headshot, you know, but I was, you know, intrigued. I learned of the project, and some time passed that I got a call from my manager saying that Jolene wanted to offer me a part in it. And so it's just very serendipitous, like, oh my God, like, this is just kind of how amazing, you know. It's my first lead role in a film. Yeah, my first, like, offer. So it was pretty amazing. I'm very grateful and appreciative of the experience and then everything I learned, you know, doing it.
Because she, as you mentioned, was on Station 19, and Lisa's on Grey's Anatomy. So there's a lot of overlap for your filmography and your castmates. So I didn't know where the connection point is, or it's just that so many people have worked on these things that inevitably you're going to run into them.
Yeah, well, the industry, I feel I've been learning, is a lot like that. You know, I there's a lot of 6 degrees of separation to anybody damn near, you know. It's not just Kevin Bacon. it's still a lot of people like, whoa, man, I know this person worked with that person, or whatever the case. But yeah, that's kind of how this happened. I mean, you know, with when I got the part, I was just, you know, as excited and enthusiastic as I was just very appreciative also of I was telling Jaina when we started working, I was like, hey, you know, I just want to say I think this is really cool that we get to kind of bond on this film prior to joining your show. So now when we are on the show, it's kind of like we have a rapport already, you know what I mean? And it's like there's a comfort going into it because it's her show, you know what I mean? So it's like it was nice to kind of connect with each other over the summer prior, you know?
Well, this film involves, without giving too much away, some stolen art. Any idea who painted these replicas? Because, I mean, you have to have them ready in case somebody looks at them closely, but at the same time, the screen is never showing them, you know, dot for dot up close.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. James Cameron painted them. No.
You never know who the painter is these days, because I get so many press releases for the drummer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers has an art show, and the singer of Kiss has an art show. So if you said, oh, it's mine, I wouldn't have been shocked. Right.
You know, it's funny because there's I did during the pandemic, you tend to pick up a lot of hobbies. And one of them that I did was I did a little painting, right? Not I wasn't doing it consistently, but I dabbled. And I did one little self-portrait, kind of just that I was like, oh, you know, that's not bad. I'm impressed with this one. I did good. And there was somebody that I worked with on the film. She kept asking me like, hey, do you want to sell that painting? And I thought she was kind of just, you know, pulling my shirt, jerking my chain, right? Like, you know, sell it. And I'm like, how much do you want for it? I'm like, the fuck? I don't know, you know. Ultimately, I kept it because I was like, you know, I feel like it's priceless. Let me keep this one. But yeah, you don't know who's the artist, man. And you know, art is you know, it's a matter of opinion on what you see. You know what I mean? Anybody could be an artist. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no right or wrong way to make art. So who's to say you didn't paint something?
You would not want my paintings.
Right.
Tim and Eric and Steve Brule and Pootie Tang, and you don't want my art. But before I ask that last question, you used the word dabble, and be careful on that word, because there's a whole subculture of people who use the word dabble with relation to this podcast thing. I'll let you look that one up offline.
Oh,
the Dabbleverse. Okay. But the last question I have for you is, what's next? Are we allowed to know what the next project, film, TV show, et cetera, that we're going to see Carlos Miranda in?
Well, just Station 19 just returned, so that's back on the air. this film, and at the moment, you know, I don't want to speak too much on it because, you know, it's all in early stages, but, you know, I'm working on trying to develop some things myself with a writer friend of mine, and trying to put some things in order for, you know, for the hiatus or whatnot, or for when for the next step after Station 19, you know, have some things lined up already. And but yeah, we'll see, you know, we'll see hopefully a lot more things, you know.
With you as the painter in that as well?
With me as the painter, exactly. Yeah. It's yeah, exactly. I'm gonna teach how to paint landscapes.
Wow, the new Bob Ross. Okay. Well,
Right.
thank you for your time, and looking forward to
you.
whatever is the next thing coming from you, Carlos.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Paltrocast.